Okay, it's arrived. This is the Steepshot. On today's video, we're going to be unboxing it, making some coffee with it, and seeing if it's worth throwing your money at it. Welcome to JR Coffee, and on this channel we talk about coffee. Hit the subscribe button if that sounds interesting to you. The Steepshot claims to brew coffee in a clean and simple way and in only 30 seconds. It's meant to be as simple as throw in your coffee grounds, throw in some boiling water, close it all up, wait 30 seconds, and then bam, perfectly brewed coffee. So, the Steepshot was invented by Ari Halonen in 2015. Now, poor Ari found that his wife refused to make him coffee in the morning, all because regular brewing devices were far too time-consuming and complex. And I can speak from experience when I say, I know how you feel, bud. Ari then created the prototype and showed local barista extraordinaire Tim Vendelbo, who agreed that the Steepshot was a great idea. Together they took the product to Kickstarter and raised a whopping 36,000 euros. And in May of 2020, the Steepshot finally hit the shelves. And it's now available to buy directly from Tim's website for around 60 euros, which is about 55 British pounds or $70. I also had no choice but to pay another 30 euros for shipping, along with another 20 pounds for the customs bill. Now, of course, this is going to vary depending on what country that you're in. So in total, I ended up spending over 100 Great British pounds to get the Steepshot here today. So, a highly anticipated coffee brewing device. It's only just gone onto the market, so we're probably one of the first people to be reviewing it and making a video about it. So let's go ahead and dive in and see what we get. First thing I always like is the cardboard packaging. Perfect. It's got a nice design. It says on the box, brew coffee in 30 seconds. And that's about it. Not much on the box at all. Here we go. One Steepshot. And one instruction manual. Okay, so we've got English on one side and then Norwegian on the other. So it has arrived and it's all put together already. Let's open it up. The flask, I suppose you could call it. Filter ring, I suppose you could call this. This would be like a filter tray. I suppose this is just a cap as well. There seems to be a O-ring according to the manual. I'm not going to take that off. Okay, this is called the deflector. Okay, one thing is alarming. There's no filter. I have not been sent any filter at all whatsoever. I've looked at the website already, and yeah, these use filters. All of their videos show that they've got these little metal filters similar to the Aeropress. And in fact, they are the same size as the Aeropress. Now, I don't know if this is a mistake, but I've not been sent one. I don't know if you need to order them separately, but I'm gonna go ahead and find out. Okay, yeah, so as I said, I've just looked at the website again, and they are meant to come with the metal filters. My one hasn't been sent one. I'm very lucky that I actually own some Aeropress filters already as an avid Aeropress user. So at least we can dive straight in and we can start making some coffee today. If someone who's never owned an Aeropress, for example, decides that they want to buy a Steepshot and they don't get a filter, then they're not going to be making coffee straight away. And that's a real shame. I'm going to send a message over to Steepshot today and let's hope that they get back to me pretty quickly. Okay, so I've read all the instruction manuals. Let's go ahead and just make some coffee now. Okay, so we're going to be using my favorite coffee. This is a Costa Rican SHB and it's a medium roast, and we are going to be doing a medium fine kind of grind here too. For the sake of this brew, we're going to need around 14 grams of coffee. So I'm going to place the flask right onto the scale here and set it to 0. I'm just going to throw in my ground coffee now. I like to measure it again just to be sure. Showing up as 14, perfect. So we'll zero that out. So the approach for the Steepshot is actually kind of interesting. They say to use boiling water, and you need to throw it in pretty quickly as well. So A gooseneck kettle won't do the trick here. It pours far too slowly. Great for pour over, but we actually need to get the hot water in there pretty quickly. So you're better off using a normal kettle. So as I mentioned, Aeropress filters are entirely compatible with the Steepshot. So I can see on their website that Steepshot sells a metal disc as well as a mesh disc, and I'm going to use the mesh disc that I have for my Aeropress in here today. So let's just put it all together now. And get that top section put on there. Probably best to have it a little bit tight as well. Okay, let's make sure that the hot water is at boiling point. It's boiling. The idea is we're going to throw about 200 grams straight in. There we go. 200 grams. Close it off. And I saw on the website, he gave it a little swirl like this. Let's wait 30 seconds. Okay, that's 30 seconds up already. Let's do it. Flip it upside down. And so we should create some pressure here. That is satisfying. So it lives up to its first claim. It can make coffee pretty quickly, but is it coffee that you're going to want to drink? Let's find out. I already like this. I can close it back up before I do anything else with it. Okay, here we go. So it's made this. First things first, it's a little cloudy. Now that could be due to the mesh filter. Second of all, it's also a bit lighter than I expect for this particular coffee bean. I do expect it to be quite a bit darker actually. Let's drink it from a glass and let's see. It's not a good colour. Burnt and under extracted is probably the only way that I can describe that. Maybe your average Joe who doesn't drink a lot of coffee would probably settle with this, but if you really care about coffee, then you won't like this. Okay, so this was just our first attempt. I basically did what their instructions say. I'm gonna say let's reduce the heat of the water this time and maybe wait a little bit longer before releasing it and seeing what the coffee comes out like. The other thing that I'm also gonna do as well is use a paper filter from the Aeropress and see how that turns out. Let's tip this away. So you tend to find with the paper filters, especially when doing Aeropress, is that there's less of those oils that find their way in, no sediment at all whatsoever, and you can pretty much say it's the cleanest brew that you're gonna get. So this should fix a few problems that we had with that last brew. Medium coarse grind, 14 grams, exactly the same as before. This time I've had to use the gooseneck just so I could get an accurate temperature. 200 grams have gone in. Start a timer. So yes, I used a gooseneck, and that is because I don't own a temperature controlled kettle yet. The gooseneck gave me a good reading of about 95 degrees Celsius, which I believe should make a slightly better brew. And as I said, this time we're gonna wait a bit longer. 30 seconds just doesn't quite feel enough. So let's try 40. Okay, 40 seconds are up. I really hope this is much better this time. Okay, much less pressure this time. And that's probably why you should use the real kettle and get the water in fast. So, this is normal. We're using a paper filter, so there's far more resistance for the coffee to filter through. So it's going to take us a little bit longer to get all of the coffee out, but that's okay, because I can already see that this brew is turning out to be much clearer. Colour's a little off. It's still a bit too light. But it does taste okay. So we're moving in the right direction at least. So I think what I'm learning here is that this definitely needs a bit of experimentation to find something that's going to work for you, really. Okay, so the pros. 1, simplicity. I mean, it's the main selling point of the product. The Steepshot is pretty easy to use. Once you've figured out how to use the top section and put it all together, add your filter, well, the rest is pretty idiot-proof. Coffee, water, wait, release, drink. Simple. Number 2, it's easy to clean. Yes, it's easy enough to clean, but is it any easier than cleaning an Aeropress or a coffee dripper? I don't think there's a lot to it, and I don't really know how important this point is when making a decision about which coffee brewer that you want to buy. Yes, convenience is a huge factor, and whatever coffee maker that you buy, you're gonna need to clean it every time you use it. So naturally, more convenient is probably what you're looking for. However, I really don't think that there is a huge amount in it when you're comparing things like a French press, its American press even, Steepshot, Aeropress, or even a V60. They all require slightly different areas of attention when it comes to cleaning, and the amount of time that it takes to do it isn't really that different. Okay, and now the cons. So number 1, the coffee tastes okay. If you want to be making coffee to the best possible standard at home, then this is definitely not the way. It makes good enough coffee if convenience is a more important factor to you. Number 2, I didn't get a filter. Now I do wonder if this was a mistake, but as we saw, I received no filters. And it's lucky that I own a handful of different Aeropress filters. And as I mentioned before, if you're buying this and it's your first coffee brewing device and you don't get a filter, then that's really gonna suck because you can't use it yet. And as I said, I've actually looked at the website. It should come with a filter. I am hoping that this is only a mistake. I have already contacted them. Let's see what they do about it. My biggest con about this right now is the price. It's really expensive. And again, maybe this was just my experience, but I did have to spend over £100 just to get this here, and I'm not over the moon about it, you know? If it was £100 and it made the amazing coffee, it was super fast, easy to clean, everything that it claims to be, then I probably would have been quite happy. But I would actually have to say that I'm a little bit unimpressed with this one, which is a real shame. But however, I think it's a brilliant idea, and I think Steepshot is certainly onto something, for sure. What I do know is, as an avid consumer of different coffee products, I know that for my money, I would rather go and buy something else than buy this in its current state. One thing to show how new and early the design is that this top section here has a lot of damage to it, which, you know, lots of evidence of machining. Almost look like it's been made by a 3D printer. So they're very early in the creation and the selling of this product, and maybe they'll release a new version soon which addresses some of the issues that I've had. And hopefully they'll start sending filters out in every single one of their orders as well. So it's now over to you. What do you think of the Steepshot then? Do you still plan on buying one despite watching this video to the end? Do you think there's something that I should have probably done differently? Is my review too harsh? Let me know down below what you think. And like the video if you liked it. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this one. And I'll be catching you in the next one. Cheers.